Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Behind the Badge, a special show that we've been doing for many, many years. Most importantly, we're here at the live show, beautiful showroom. Although we're upstairs right now, and Freddie, you're right, we'll be back down the next show. But we're up in a conference room here at Team Toyota, 746 East Lincoln Highway, and many of our shows, thanks to the charitable efforts of Paul Muller. Paul Muller is the sponsor of our show, Let's Go Places, which is the fourth Wednesday of every month, as many of our viewers are aware and listeners, as well as Let's Go Places just intercedes into several other shows, such as Behind the Badge with Fred Harran. We began this, Freddie, when you were the Director of Public Safety in Bensalem Township.
In 21 we started this.
In 21. We came down to your office. It was a beautiful setting and a sense of security when we came into Bensalem because of the way you ran things down there. Just unbelievable. We can go on and on about your accreditation procedures and how you made it such a tip-top professional setting down there with all your police officers.
Still is today.
It is today. With Bill McVeigh doing a great job as well. Charlie Esposito, my sidekick here on WBCB 1490 on the AM dial and now 107.3 on the FM dial. Once again, we want to thank Paul Muller for all of his altruistic efforts and continuing to support these shows. The other one is Justice for All with the Bucks County District Attorney Jennifer Shorn, who Fred knows very well. She was on vacation last week. Jennifer, welcome back, and we'll be seeing you soon for our next show, which is Justice for All. Great shows, as is with Fred, and the opportunity we have for you, our listeners, to get a glimpse and a comprehensive view as to how the Sheriff's Department operates. And some of the guests that you bring on, Fred, they're just they're above reproach, and they're very interesting. But today we're going to talk about several things, but more or less what's important right now is the border situation down there, Fred. You had the opportunity to visit the border with some of your colleagues. Let's start with an introduction about the border, how it began, the purpose of it, the economics behind it, the criminology. There's so many features. Who's responsible for the maintaining of security down there, which we can talk a lot about too as well. But let's begin with the genesis of the border and what your overview is with what's going on then and now today.
Thanks, Tom. I'm glad we're able to talk about this topic. And I know I went down to the border in April, and I didn't want to talk about it until I started doing some presentations. And I'm actually booked pretty solid till November right now. Nobody's asking for presentations after November. I guess we'll see what happens. But I'm out a couple of nights during the week I did a big presentation last night at Spring Mill Country Club, hosted by State Representative Kristen Marcel. So I just wanted to give a shout out. I was a little nervous because we had the eyes of the world were on the Delaware Valley last night.
Of course.
With the presidential debate, and we were a little, nervous. So we was very mindful of the time. I was a hard stop at 8, and questions went over. I stayed around, but then certainly wanted to get home to watch the debate. Made it at about 2 minutes to spare. But as you said in your intro, when I was in Bensalem, I was very involved with technology, forensics. We've talked about that on the show, and that's not what I'm talking about today. But when I left Bensalem, I got involved with the National Sheriff's Association, and one of their committees was technology, forensics, things like that. So I gave about a year, getting my feet wet, so to speak, in the sheriff's office, getting to know some of the players around the country in the National Sheriff's Association. And then I sent a letter in that I wanted to be a part of this committee. I'm still on the IACP Forensics Committee, very involved in that. We're doing a lot of stuff here in Bucks County, groundbreaking around the world, right here in Bucks. But I'm in my committee meeting back in February of 24 in Washington, D.C. I'm in my committee meeting. There's all kinds of committees, about 15 or so different committees for the NSA. My committee meeting, the technology committee, ended about maybe 5 minutes earlier. So I went downstairs. I went to grab a cup of coffee, and there was a breakout room huge room, huge, and the people were just pouring out of it, and it was standing room only. I'm like, I got my interest now. What's going? What could they be talking about, and why did I miss it?
Yes.
So I kind of snuck in. Not snuck in. I wiggled my way in. If you can picture me wiggling anywhere, but I got myself in, and a slide was up on the screen as I got into the room, and the slide was talking about the border and guns and drugs to the Northeast United States, and one of the highlights were Pennsylvania. Now I'm very interested. So I listen. It goes on for another 10, 15 minutes, and the committee room breaks. I stayed around to talk to the committee chair, a guy named Mark Daniels. He is the sheriff from Cochise County, Arizona. I'm sure you've seen him on the news. He's very outspoken.
Yes, he is.
I shouldn't say outspoken. He's very spoken about this issue. Why? Because he's living it, and we'll get into that in a few minutes. So I went up to Sheriff Daniels, introduced myself. I'm fairly new sheriff in the U.S., and he started talking to me about the problem, and he said to me, listen, the PowerPoint's nice. It's great that you're interested. Why don't you come down to Cochise County? And I said, are you kidding me? He goes, no. And why don't you bring a couple of chiefs with you?
Perfect.
So I said, all right. I wasn't sure. I said, well, why? Why would you take your time to, from Bucks County, Pennsylvania, in the scheme of things, we're not a major player and things of that nature for that. And he said, because it's not just a phrase. There's no more just a couple of border. There's not 5 border states on the southwest border. We're all border states.
Thank you. That's true.
I watch that, whether it's CNN or Fox, no matter who's talking, whatever elected official's talking, you take everything with a grain of salt. And I'm like, I don't know if I was sold, but I was interested. And he said, come down, and all I ask is that you listen, you experience, and I know what you're going to see. This is him talking to me. I want you to go back and tell your residents what's going on in this country. Fair. So I went back to the Chiefs Association. I'm on the board, as you well know.
Yes.
Talked to those guys and gals about it. And I said, listen, he's letting me take a couple, he said I could bring a couple of chiefs with me. So we got a small contingency together. This was not funded by any tax dollar. This was privately funded. Because some people are making comments on Facebook, which drives me insane. That's
you
why
always have a few culprits out there.
Well, you can't please everybody.
No.
This is not tax dollars. And if you know our controller, Pam Van Blanc, she would never go for it anyway.
Yeah.
So we went down to Cochise County for 3 days, and the news doesn't do it justice. We went, we heard, their guys, their deputies talking about the problems that they're facing, and then that night we went out. We spent, the one day we spent about 12 hours with them, and then we went out and we rode with the deputies on the highway. And what we found is that they have 83 or 86 miles of U.S. border. Their Cochise County, and you've probably seen this on the news, is where the wall was stopped.
Okay.
Which I did not know. Barack Obama started the wall. I didn't know that. So they showed us, part of the Obama wall, and then obviously the Trump wall, and then the Biden opening, where when Joe Biden became president, where the wall was stopped. Obviously, this is a radio show. I'm going to try to show some pictures in a little bit from my presentation. But right where the wall was stopped in Cochise County, it's just open. It's just a little bit of barbed wire on a fence post that you would have in any house in Bucks County. And then miles of just metal, steel sitting on the road on the U.S. side that was never erected. So the U.S. government had to pay, part of their contract was they had to pay 75% of the whole wall up front. So business people are a lot smarter than, the government. They know that in 4 years there could be somebody else in the White House and the wall could get stopped and they can be out all this money. So
Bingo.
They're like, pay me up front because I don't know what the future's to bring. So the wall was paid for, and then obviously it's just sitting there rusting away. Electrical lines for light poles to light up the wall, just sitting there, not complete. Equipment, Caterpillar, cranes and all that stuff sitting there, just dormant, not being used. So what a waste of money is one thing, but that's not the biggest thing. The biggest thing is the amount of drugs, and they showed us on their cameras that they capture, and the people that they surveil, people in caravans of human beings crossing the border with drugs on their backs, disguised as animals. They get on all fours to kind of try to throw the cameras off in the middle of the night.
Sure.
The cameras are pretty good, picks it up, and then the deputies go out and make apprehensions and arrests. Human trafficking. Now, on the Cochise County side of the U.S. border is the closest big city is Tucson, and between Tucson and the border is Sierra Vista, which is a nice little town. It's a cute town, but it's not like you'd go there on vacation.
Sure.
And between Sierra Vista proper and the U.S. border is just miles of desert. So when the cartels, and we'll get back to it, when the cartels get people across the border, they're left to fend to get to the major highways, and then people pick them up. Other cartel workers, so to speak, pick them up, and then they get them to Phoenix. And then they go to Phoenix, and then from Phoenix, they're distributed throughout the United States. Philadelphia, California, Florida, North Dakota, Chicago, wherever they're going, wherever they're heading. What was interesting, these folks told us that they've stopped a large group over time of people from South Africa, from this is just the facts. You draw your own conclusions. That's my little public service announcement for what I'm about to say. There's no conclusions for my following statement, but you put it together. And it could be good, it could be bad. We don't know the answer to that. We might know the answer. It's ironic that what I'm about to say today is 23 years of 9/11. There is a group coming from an Islamic nation in South Africa that comes from South Africa to Mexico into Cochise County. From Cochise County, they're interviewed. They go to Phoenix. From Phoenix, they settle in Brooklyn, New York.
Jesus. Right across the country.
Right across the country, right in the Big Apple. In Brooklyn, New York.
Yeah.
With tons of drugs.
Oh, absolutely.
Listen, we're going to talk about the drugs in a minute.
Of course we are.
I made mention of 9/11. Yeah. I'm worried about another attack. As Sheriff Daniels will tell you, it's not if, it's when.
It's when.
We're going to have another attack.
All these cells, as you're pointing out,
it is ridiculous.
Yeah.
So the fact that this could be happening and we're just letting it. So they have stopped, in a 3-month period, 120 people on the FBI terrorist watch list.
Jesus.
This is in the 83 miles of border. Just 83 miles of border.
Right.
120 people on the terrorist watch list. To me, it sounds like I was like, good job. They're like, yeah, not a bad job. Our men and women did a good job. But they said, what do you think happens to those people? I said, we deport them? No. They get turned over, and then they get released back into the United States, and they're given a day to appear in court.
Yeah.
I said, okay, not horrible yet. What, like in a week or two? No. A month or two? No. A year or two? No. 5 years out.
Wow.
Now, I can tell you, being the sheriff of Bucks County, prisoners here for DUI and retail theft, they can't remember to show up for court in 3 days, let alone 5 years.
Yeah.
So this is a joke, folks. And I want to just remind me, I'm going to keep it to the end, a question that I got asked yesterday at one of my community presentations. That I think, and the guy was, I see where he was going, but his question was good, and I think my answer was pretty good. And we want to just please get me to there before the end of the show.
Oh, I will.
So, folks, this is a problem. No, we're just talking about terrorism right now. I haven't touched on drugs. Because some people will still argue, well, what the heck is the Bucks County Sheriff, even though he was invited and wasn't paid for with tax dollars? What was the Bucks County Sheriff? Why did he bother going with a contingency of law enforcement from Bucks County? This really doesn't affect us. Well, folks,
really?
We're right outside the fourth largest city in America.
Yes.
Wake up.
Yeah.
When we go to dinner in Philadelphia and we go to shows in Philadelphia and we enjoy Philadelphia, which I love Philadelphia, being from New York, I think New York, Sherelle Parker, but Philadelphia is the second best city in America. I'm still a New Yorker at heart, so yes. I can't help that.
Fred, hold that. Please hold that thought. Tangible evidence here. We're going to take a quick pause to recognize our sponsors. You're listening to the Bucks County Sheriff, Fred Harran. If you want to continue to listen to the effectiveness of the information and the accuracy of the information, stay tuned. Listen to the rest of this show, as is all of our shows, but this one, important, because you're going to learn a lot more about what's going down, what has been occurring, and what has been transcending across our nation. Right here with the Bucks County Sheriff, Fred Harran, Charlie Esposito.
Fred got me on the edge of my seat here. I can't wait to
Oh, yeah,
we
absolutely.
get back from
The hair on my back is
I
now.
want to hear the rest of the story.
The hair on my back is raised now. I'm not kidding you. We'll return after a few moments. Don't go anywhere.
Close out your summer in style at Team Toyota during the national sales event. We have new Toyota inventory ready to drive home today, including Camrys, RAV4s, and Tundras. And with over 200 certified used Toyotas, you can find the right fit for you, or for your budget with 75 used cars under $20,000. Plus, our service departments are giving back this August with donations to kids in need for every oil change and tire rotation. Visit one of our 3 locations in Princeton, Langhorne, or Glen Mills, or online at teamtoyota.net.
Hi, this is Mayor Jeff Martin of Hamilton Township, inviting you to tune in to our monthly radio show, This Month in Hamilton. Video stream live the 4th Tuesday of every month at 10 a.m. at WBCB1490.com. We will be featuring various guests from Hamilton Township to keep you up to date on what's going on in Hamilton.
Are you a parrot head?
Wasted away again in Margarita.
Not that kind. That's more like it. If you're this kind of parrot head, don't forget to check out the Denny-O Polka Show every Saturday from 9 a.m. to noon right here on 1490 WBCB and online at WBCB1490.com.
Are you still out there? Are you listening? Go get your I hope you got your second cup of coffee or whatever you need to keep yourself stimulated here. But the stimulation is right here, the information you're going to continue to receive. By the way, we have a guest here today, part of the family, Team Toyota, John Finby, retired police officer from Tullytown in Bucks County, correct, John? Yeah, welcome. John's sitting in, listening in. He's certainly very curious to learn more about, as we are, as all retired police officers, what you're going to share with us. But please continue, Fred.
I thought that was some compelling information, and I didn't know what to expect and what we were going to learn. But they only have in Cochise County Sheriff's Department, they have about 110 sworn, which is not a lot. And he's got about 15 officers, 15 deputies assigned just to the border. They work in conjunction with the U.S. Border Patrol, which when we went out there was one Border Patrol agent that was kind of in his car, but there was one.
Oh.
For miles and miles and miles of border.
Terrible.
And this poor guy is really outnumbered. They don't have a lot of resources back there. They don't have a lot of backup. So it's really amazing.
They're targets. They're actually targeted.
I did talk to him about that because their families are all there.
Sure.
And it was interesting because there's a house in Cochise County. I don't know why this guy did this. He owns a piece of property on the U.S. side, obviously, and he faces the Mexican border. I'm talking about like from here to the end of the showroom.
Really?
And he's a retired Marine, and he's got a U.S. flag flying, and then a Marine Corps flag flying. And we said, does he have, because this is where they're crossing.
Yeah,
does he have any problems? And they're like, no, they don't mess with this guy. They don't stay in Cochise County. They don't mess with him. He's obviously got two flags, a U.S. flag and a Marine Corps. He's making his statement like, keep going, buddy.
That's right.
And they don't want to stay in Cochise County.
Sure.
They don't mess with the cops in Cochise County. It is their I don't know what you'd call, not a gentleman's agreement, but they just don't mess with the cops there. It's
their right to protect and defend.
They get out. I mean, not mess with the cops in a way of retaliation and things of that nature.
Right.
Obviously, when we get to car stops, we're going to talk about some other issues. But they just want to get the heck out of Cochise County. Tucson, Phoenix, across the United States they go. The other thing I thought was extremely interesting is that no one crosses the border without the Mexican cartel's permission.
Jeez.
if the Mexican cartel was running the U.S. government, we might be better off. Who the heck knows?
Yeah.
I don't know. I probably shouldn't have said that, but whatever. You know me. I can't. My mouth goes quicker than my brain.
No, at least he has a brain.
He has a brain. Yes.
So no one crosses without the cartel's permission. So there are a percentage. They get about 1/3 of the people they stop are Mexican nationals. And I don't know, they did not give me the number. And the other 70-some-odd%, or I think it's 67%, are people from other countries. So they're not from Mexico. So why are they coming to Mexico to cross into the United States? Because they've got something to hide. They don't want to be known coming into the U.S. They're here to do ill will to us or bring things that are ill will to us, whether trafficking human beings, whether guns, whether drugs,
Right.
whether just crime in general. Or they're involved in terrorism or some type of some type of disorder.
There are extractions from these other countries.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. So, but let's talk about that 33. Let's talk about that 1/3, because that's what we see on the news. That's what people pull at your heartstrings in your heart. There are people that are looking for that better American way of life, and
course.
they deserve it.
Yes.
God bless them, and
Yes.
they should get it.
Yes.
As did my grandfathers. So
Yes.
on my mother's side and my father's side came from Russia through Ellis Island for that better way of life. Now the process back then, in the 20s, I guess, or whatever, I think it was the 20s when they came, may have been. I'm sure it's totally different. You know, you're talking about 105 years ago.
Yes.
So the question is, those 30%. Those 33%, they still don't cross without the cartel's permission, and they have to pay the cartel.
Amazing.
Wrong, but not horrible yet.
Right.
I mean, it's wrong. It's just financially wrong and morally wrong and ethically wrong, but whatever, if that's their decision. The problem is the cartel gives them like an IOU because they don't have $1,000 as the cost to cross with the cartel. They don't have the $1,000, and the cartel, being nice men and women that they are, say, you'll pay us back when you get into the United States because you'll make some money and you'll pay us back. You're all in law enforcement.
Oh, yeah.
Do you think those poor, I don't mean poor as in indigent poor, I mean poor just in what's happening to them, about to happen to them. Do you think they ever truly get a chance to pay the cartel back? No. As they start to make payments, the cartel puts on interest on that. They never get ahead. And now what happens? To save their lives, they need to work for the cartel.
Exactly.
So now
In
you
this
have
country.
in this country, in the United States, they have to do drug
Amazing.
running,
Yeah.
whatever. This is not. I did not stay up last night Googling this information. This is information I learned from the men and women, the true American heroes, besides our U.S. military, which I know, Tom, my God, you're involved in so much stuff. Besides our U.S. military and U.S. law enforcement. These law enforcement on our southern border, which we're going to talk a little bit more after probably the next break,
Yep.
what they're doing every day are true American heroes in my mind. Are true
Amen.
John Wayne-style cowboys,
Yes.
if you will. And,
Yes.
and I mean that in the general census. I don't want somebody, John Wayne, I don't want to get into that. But
No.
these are true American heroes. So these poor folks that are now stuck paying for paying back the cartels forever, whether if they have women traveling with them, what do you think the cartels make them do? They're trafficked.
Of course.
If you're a guy, you're trafficking guns, you're trafficking drugs. If you're kids, you could be involved in smuggling drugs because they think police are more likely not to look as hard on a little child. So now these poor folks that are here for the American way of life are forced into a criminal slavery, if you will. So let's talk about the caravans of people that we see on the news. I see them. I'm like, wow, that looks pretty rough. Caravans coming down from Mexico, coming into the United States. This is shameful.
It is. It is.
They call them give-ups. I'm like, I never heard that. What's a give-up? They said this is a setup. Those caravans of people, many of them are paid by the cartels to do this because the U.S. government takes sworn officers off the border now to process at processing stations these give-ups. So now what happens when you're you guys, we see swatting calls now, but I remember in Bensalem back in the 80s. So Bensalem is a big township. So you have Route 1 and you have like State Road.
Sure.
We would get a call for an armed robbery up in one part of the township,
Right.
and all the cops would head up that way because you have an armed robbery, serious crime. Meanwhile, the real crime is happening in the lower end of the township.
The diversion.
It's a diversion, and that's what they're doing with these give-ups. They're diverting U.S. law enforcement from the border. Now, not the Cochise County cops, but the federal agents.
Yes.
And maybe some state agencies that are being diverted now to go process these individuals. So then they cross the real desperados, the real bad guys and gals are crossing the border in many places like Cochise County. And I never really, I mean, I guess I thought about it, but I didn't know that's what I was watching on our news here, that's what was happening.
Of course.
Now, to me, you're not going to maybe stop that, but the U.S. government should not be pulling sworn officers, sworn police officers or, peace officers, whatever you want to call them, off the border to go process people. You could civilianize that.
Absolutely.
And hire more people to do that. And we're going to end with that at the end of the show.
Sure.
But that's what you should be doing. And this is not rocket scientist stuff. I mean, people should be able to figure this stuff out. People like Sheriff Daniels, they have figured it out. It's our federal government that hasn't really figured it out. Or they figured it out and they don't care.
Yes.
I'm not sure what the answer is.
Or
ignoring it.
Total.
And like I said, I keep saying we'll end with it. We're going to talk about the solution. So this is what's happening. So what's coming across? Now here, let's talk about Bucks County. Let's talk about, because I don't think I've made the argument up until I'm about to make the argument. I don't think I've made it yet.
Focus,
for Bucks County.
Pay attention for all of our
Obviously,
listeners.
human trafficking is a problem. Obviously, smuggling of weapons is a problem. Obviously, cartels here doing criminal activity is a problem. But one could say maybe that's not happening here in Bucks County. We have no proof of that. I would tend to disagree. But here's what we do have proof of. We are in, because of Philadelphia, and I'm not saying this is a bad thing for Philadelphia. Again, Philadelphia police, I've said this as every interview I've ever given as the police director in Ben Salem. I could not imagine not having Philadelphia PD as my next door neighbor. The men and women of that department assist Bucks County, help us in every way possible.
Amen. Yes.
From manpower to training to explosives to helicopters to SWAT to whatever it is. Philadelphia is a great, great neighbor. Mayor Sherrell Parker is doing an amazing job. Unfortunately, Kenny for 8 years kind of screwed things up. And it's going to take us a long time to fix this.
Yes.
So Philadelphia is the opioid center of the United States. And we border Philadelphia. The Delaware Valley borders Philadelphia. Bucks County, Delaware Valley is encompassed to Philadelphia. Bucks County borders, Ben Salem borders Philadelphia. Lower Southampton borders Philadelphia.
Yes.
So these towns border Philadelphia. So we are faced with that drug problem. And this is where 80% of our drugs are coming in from the Mexican border. You want to make the connection? I just did it, folks. 80% of our drugs, and I'm not even going to talk about marijuana right now, but we're talking about fentanyl. And it's not that they're manufacturing it in Mexico, because we know fentanyl's coming from China.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
China's not flying into JFK or Philadelphia International. China's going to Mexico, like that other 67% of the people that are coming in here.
Yep.
China's going to Mexico and smuggling fentanyl across the border. Cocaine, methamphetamine, heroin, and, of course, thousands and hundreds of thousands of tons of marijuana. And it's not the marijuana of 1980, of 1970, of 1960s. It's much more potent.
Yeah.
It's laced with stuff. They didn't lace marijuana with the stuff they're lacing the marijuana with now in these years. So it's a different drug out there. Now let's jump ahead from fentanyl and heroin and opioids and the crisis xylazine that we're faced with now. Trank, as they call it on the street. And I think it's a topic because I've got some ducks to get in order that I don't want to say publicly yet. But if I can't fix this by the next show, we're gonna talk about the effects of xylazine from Philadelphia in Bucks County, how that affects you here in Bucks County.
Of course. We're going to take a quick break again, Fred. Just to
I can keep going, Tom. I'm
I know
sorry.
you can. That's all right.
You know
buddy.
me. I get juiced up here.
Listen. I'm listening to every word as I'm hoping that our listenership, as they do each time we do these shows, are doing as well. Stay attentive. We're going to return after a few moments of our sponsors. Paul Muller, for example, the great one here at Team Toyota, the Heroes program we can talk about a little bit later on. More importantly, this is good stuff so that you understand how this is pervasive across the country. It's transcended to a point, whereas Freddie was right there. Your Bucks County Sheriff was right there, and he's going to share much more information that will make you understand the perils that are going on down there in the border. We'll return after a few moments.
Close out your summer in style at Team Toyota during the national sales event. We have new Toyota inventory ready to drive home today, including Camrys, RAV4s, and Tundras. And with over 200 certified used Toyotas, you can find the right fit for you or for your budget with 75 used cars under $20,000. Plus, our service departments are giving back this August with donations to kids in need for every oil change and tire rotation. Visit one of our 3 locations in Princeton, Langhorne, or Glen Mills, or online at teamtoyota.net.
Hey, this is Jonesy. Kick off your Thursday and Friday evenings in style. Join me for an eclectic freeform mix of the hits and beyond. It's a happening, a musical journey. It's the Glenn Jones radio experience right here on 1490 WBCB and 107.3 FM, Thursday and Friday, 5 to 6 p.m., directly following the legendary Jerry Blavitt. Radio, the way it ought to be.
Opinions matter, and so does yours. Hi, I'm Joe Fabrizi, inviting you to join us every Monday at 1 p.m. for Opinions Matter, right here on 1490 AM WBCB. Opinions Matter is now live streamed at WBCB1490.com. We want to hear from you because your opinion does matter.
Welcome back to Behind the Badge here with Bucks County Sheriff Fred Harran. We're going to get back with Fred for a moment, but I feel it incumbent upon me to make everyone aware to spare a few moments throughout your busy schedule, throughout your day, to recognize and remember September the 11th, 2001. It's 23 years ago that this country faced a very traumatic incident where we lost many lives. And let's remember the loss of the lives who suffered and the families who need to endure. Say a prayer for them, and God bless all the losses of lives. Our gallant, very, very courageous public responders down there, first responders, police officers, firefighters, who many people were running away. They were running toward the danger to help save more lives. So let's remember that. And also, just last night, Charlie, as you know, Officer Jamie Roman of the 25th Police District, just on a routine patrol procedure where he was pulling over a vehicle. A pursuit followed, and this creep actually turned around and fired a shot and really critically wounded Officer Roman, 25th Police District in the Kensington section of North Philadelphia, where I worked, the same district. And this was back in June, Fred, that this occurred, and he was hanging on and fighting courageously, but he lost his life. So our hearts, our spirit goes out to the family of Officer Roman, to the FOP, that obviously a family that we're a part of, that we want to remember Officer Roman for his gallant efforts and for the senseless act that occurred there. Justice will prevail, hopefully. And but most importantly, our hearts go out to the family members of Officer Roman.
They sure do.
Yeah, God bless them all. Fred, back to you, buddy. So we have a lot to cover.
Yeah, and again, the fact that by chance today is that we're doing a show on 9/11. Yeah, I think is just how that worked out. I'm not really sure.
Ironic.
But we certainly just take a break for a second, but we certainly have to be vigilant. And people that are coming into this country, and then the FBI has already identified them and put them on the watch list. I don't know what the criteria is getting on the watch list. I'll be honest with you, I don't know that. But we've got to do something. We cannot have that happen ever again. And it's funny. I was just at a press conference yesterday in Bensalem. And the Bucks County Police, through Bensalem, through Representative State Senator Frank Farry.
Yes, Frank.
And Joe Hogan, Kristen Marcel, Shelley Labs, Casey Tomlinson, Greg Statz. They were able to procure. I hope I didn't miss anybody. They were able to
great memory. Good. You covered them all.
Procure a Bearcat, which, as you all know what that is. It's a vehicle. It's an armored vehicle. It's a rescue vehicle, not an offensive. It's a defensive vehicle. And our Bearcat in Bucks County, that's 21 years old. We got it, a couple years after 9/11 for the county SWAT teams. There's 3 of them. And it's taking gunfire here. So people, it's Bucks County. You guys, what are you doing? Our vehicle has taken gunfire, and there's holes. There's
I'll bet.
ricochets in it.
Yeah.
So they were able to procure this vehicle. As you know, they're not cheap. It's $350,000
For each apparatus.
for each one. So we were able to get one.
Okay.
We were trying to get a second one from another contingency of elected officials. We could not. But these folks definitely stepped up to the plate, the names I just mentioned, and we got one. And why do you need 2? Because Bucks County is shaped like Italy. We've talked about this. I can get to Brooklyn, New York quicker than I can get to Quakertown from Bristol Borough. So Bucks County is very, very long county, so you really need to put these things, displace them regionally. Obviously, the bulk of the population is the lower end of the county, and this one's going to be housed by Ben Salem to be used anywhere in the county, in the lower end of the county.
Sure.
So I just the point of that story is that we get back to the story of the border, is that after 9/11, I was I'm still on a lot of committees, but I'm not on this one particular committee anymore. We got a lot of money from the federal government, and that money has gone away.
Yes.
To support local law enforcement with this type of equipment. So the state folks had to step up to the plate. I don't know what the future's to bring with that, but you have to protect, your homeland. You have to protect your individual. You have to be vigilant. And when you have folks coming from one country into Mexico, going to New York City to settle, are they looking for the better way of life? Maybe. I don't know. But let's keep an eye on things.
And let's look at the strings that are attached to all of them coming over, as you're pointing out.
We need, I have metal in 2 spots on my body. I have metal, and it's okay. I go through TSA, and the alarms go off, and I got to be taken to the side. It's a pain in the tchotchkes every time. But why do I get searched, and other people just come across, and the government just seems to think, well, it's not a big deal. It is a big deal.
Yes.
No one should be coming to this country without some sort of checks and balances, and we'll get to that at the end. But xylazine.
That's where we
left off. But
yeah.
I had to digress a little bit.
Of course.
Because of the
it's
day.
Important. It's important.
Xylazine is now the new drug. Opioids, problem still, heroin, but they're not long lasting. The xylazine effect, and it becomes very costly for government, local government. There's a lot of these folks are sick as anything, and they have to be treated before they could be incarcerated, and it costs a lot of money. The xylazine, I haven't heard yet coming in through Mexico because it's still a U.S.-born drug. It's used by veterinarians a lot, but at the quantities that we're seeing, it's got to be coming from somewhere else as well. So I don't know the answer to that, but I will tell you this. If it's not coming today, it will be shortly.
Yeah.
Because the demand is getting higher and higher and higher. There's not going to be enough here in the U.S., and it's going to be coming in. Somebody else is going to manufacture it, and it's going to be coming in through our southern border, through the Mexico border. And this is having horrific effects on human beings, and it's having a big financial impact. People commit crime, a lot of people, high percentage, commit crime to support their addiction, to support that addiction. And we've talked about addiction over and over again. And if you know me in Bucks County, you know where I stand on this issue. People need to get help. There's no doubt about it. People that are addicted to this don't need to be in jail. They need to get help. The people that are bringing it in need to go to jail.
They need to go to jail.
They clearly need to go to jail. And I don't know if anybody's going to contradict anything I just said. But we
shame on you if you do.
Well, we don't have the jail space to put everybody in jail.
No.
And you're not going to solve the problem.
Treatment is what's necessary.
You do need it. But we also have to stop the flow. It's multiple facets. You can't do one without the other. You have to also stop the flow of that drug coming in. And you're going to see xylazine coming in from the southern border. If it's not now, it's going to be.
It
There's
seems
no
like
doubt.
these narcotic substances seem to get more and more potent and more dangerous, Freddie, as you're discovering.
Well, it's, I equate it to, and I think this is something that every American can, whether you're addicted and whether you're suffering from drug addiction or any type of addiction, I think you can equate it to the following statement. It's like an amusement park. They build a roller coaster, and then, okay, I've done that 20 times.
Yeah.
I don't get that thrill anymore. So they build a roller coaster with 3 loops instead of 2. Or they make a quicker drop, or they make a longer roller coaster, because they want the people that own these parks want people to come back to their park. So if I've done the same coaster over and over again, what's my interest in going back to, that amusement park? Drugs are the same way.
Mm-hmm.
That drug's just not doing it for me anymore.
Sure.
You can't up your dose too much because of some people realize they're going to die.
Yeah.
Some don't care.
The tolerance level is
So new drugs are faced on the market, and that's what the problem is now. It's not rocket science, folks.
No, it isn't.
It's not rocket scientists. If us guys could figure it out in this room, the brains to be, if you will, should be able to figure it out, and the powers to be should be figured out. And there are solutions to it. And we'll talk about that. And when we get the last, I think we still have another quarter, right? That last quarter, I want to kind of focus in on solutions. So let's get back to the border. So the xylazine, the drugs, the human trafficking. The people that are picking these folks up from Sierra Vista, from Tucson, they're getting paid by the person. $1,000 a head is what we're told. And they pile people into these cars. The law enforcement there, the men and women that are on patrol, they're pretty smart cops. They know what they're looking for. They get PC on the stops, probable cause to make the car stop, and they initiate a car stop. Some of these cars take off running. Sometimes they chase, sometimes they don't, depending on what they think they got.
Right.
So these cars that are running flip, and human beings that are being trafficked die. Human beings that are being trafficked die in these cars. And I have videos. We're not going to be able to show the videos, but I do want to show a couple of pictures. They do die. And these are human beings, folks. And this is partially our fault. This is partially the fault of those that don't want to secure the border tightly, because the border's kind of willy-nilly right now. So the cops down there, Sheriff Daniels, he's doing his job. He's keeping this country safe. He's not listening to a president of the United States or a congressman or a senator or whatever. He is doing his job. He is a sheriff in the United States elected by the people, not elected by Congress, not elected by the president of the United States, not appointed by.
Good point.
And there's some things to come that we might share on the show next time that I'm going to institute, because I'm elected by the people. I don't work for any elected officials in Bucks County. I don't work for the county commissioners.
Nope.
I work for you.
Yes.
The people.
Good point.
And the people want to be safe. At least I think so. If you don't want to be safe, give me a call and we'll talk about it. I'll try to convince you to be safe. But I think the people want to be safe. No matter where you sit in this world on ideologies, I think everybody wants them and their family to be safe. I don't know of anybody that doesn't. So these men and women, Sheriff Daniels is making his county safe. He only gets paid by Cochise County. He should get paid by the federal government, because I think he's doing a heck of a job, and his men and women are doing a heck of a job keeping us safe. But they chase these folks, and people die.
Wow.
And that's a shame.
Yes.
That's a shame. But if we made our border tighter and made it so they couldn't get in, these people wouldn't die. These lives would be spared. And
Yes.
I think we have to look at the humanity. These people are those that make it through and then cross the desert on foot. They die in the desert. Women get sexually assaulted by cartel members. People die and they're left for death in the desert. They showed us. I'm not putting them in any of my presentations. Women's undergarments from brutal sexual assaults.
Oh, Jesus.
These are not American citizens, but they're human beings.
Yes, they are.
And, us as Americans, we have a responsibility that we should be protecting those human beings.
Yes.
We do it now all over the world. We should do it to our southern border friends, our neighbors to the south. And I don't think that politicians, some of them don't look that way. They don't understand what
They
they're
don't
not
grasp,
doing.
They don't grasp it.
The damage that they're causing. I don't think they understand that.
Do you have some of the pictures, Fred?
I do have. So,
do we have time, Bree?
Bree, how long before our next break?
Break now?
We're breaking now.
Take a break and then
we're
going to
break,
back.
set up some pictures, and then we're going to give some solutions.
How much time do we have, Bree, for the show? About another 13 minutes.
13 minutes. Lucky 13.
There's going to be a lot more to cover.
We
on
might have
this.
to do a part 2.
Well, that's
Tommy.
what I'm thinking. We will definitely do a part 2.
3.
And part 3. There's so much more information that the sheriff here, Bucks County, Fred Harran, needs to convey to you to give you an education that you can take and disseminate it to the people who may not be listening to the show.
And I will come out to any community group. All you have to do is call me or send me an email.
What's that number, Fred?
You call me or email me is the best because I can set everything up. And I don't know if you could put it on the show. It's FA. The county has middle initials. Harran, Harran, at buckscounty.gov. FA Harran, Harran, at buckscounty, one word, .gov. Send me an email, and I will come out and do a presentation to any community group. I don't care what your philosophy is. I will come out, and you want to debate me, we'll debate. I'd rather just share the information and ask me questions. I have no problem. This is factual information from Cochise County. This is not from Google. This is not from YouTube.
We'll have some nice photos for you when we return after a few words from our sponsor on WBCB 1490, 107.3 on the dial. Don't go anywhere.
Close out your summer in style at Team Toyota during the national sales event. We have new Toyota inventory ready to drive home today, including Camrys, RAV4s, and Tundras. And with over 200 certified used Toyotas, you can find the right fit for you. Or for your budget with 75 used cars under $20,000. Plus, our service departments are giving back this August with donations to kids in need for every oil change and tire rotation. Visit one of our 3 locations in Princeton, Langhorne, or Glen Mills, or online at teamtoyota.net.
Are you a parrot head?
Wasted away again in Margarita.
Not that kind. That's more like it. If you're this kind of parrot head, don't forget to check out the Denny-O Polka Show every Saturday from 9 a.m. to noon right here on 1490 WBCB and online at WBCB1490.com.
Hey, this is Jonesy. Kick off your Thursday and Friday evenings in style. Join me for an eclectic freeform mix of the hits and beyond. It's a happening, a musical journey. It's the Glenn Jones radio experience right here on 1490 WBCB and 107.3 FM, Thursday and Friday, 5 to 6 p.m., directly following the legendary Jerry Blavitt. Radio, the way it ought to be.
We're back with Behind the Badge on WBCB 1490. I'll keep everything. Brevity is the soul of wit, right, Bray? We're going to get right back because Freddie has some pictures that he captured and took for your display, for your convenience to look at some of the geographical features down there, right, Fred?
Yeah, Bree, let me know when you're ready, and we'll thumb through them a little bit, just a few minutes worth.
While we're briefing there, remember our Heroes program here at Team Toyota, 746 East Lincoln Highway. I've been doing this now for 16 years,
Great
Freddie.
program.
Great program. $1,500 discount, up to $1,500, and sometimes a little more because once Paul gets in a good mood, I stop in there, and he even gets a little more generous.
I really want that truck that's down there.
We're going to talk about that.
All right.
Yeah, I
Is it
know
still
that
there?
you were persistent to get one of those
I'm
trucks.
going to
so we
get
have
one when I leave Bucks County eventually. When I retire, or hopefully one more term. If the voters want to give me one more term.
There you go.
I don't know what. Maybe I'll stay. Who knows?
It's a great thing.
Yeah.
It's a great thing.
Anyway.
Yeah.
So this is, and again, forgive me because I wasn't really thinking about doing this. This was last minute. This is a picture of what the border was. It was just a barbed wire. This is still there. This is me poking my head through the wall that's there into the Mexican side. This is right on the border. But I think, and I'm going to have to just look. And so here is the wall. Here is the border wall. This is Cochise County. You're looking towards California right now, and you can see the red line. That's where the wall was stopped. So after
one of the administrations.
After one of the administrations changed,
right, exactly.
The wall was stopped right there in Cochise County. And the next couple slides I think are very interesting. So you see that thing protruding from the desert? That's Mexico. That is the cartel lookout. So the cartels have lookouts all on the Mexican side watching U.S. law enforcement where they are when they do those give-ups.
Right.
They look when the coast is clear, and then they make their move. They cut holes in the wall. The U.S. government does. They explained it to us. It's a different authority. The president, I don't know if he can stop it or it comes under Congress. I forget what they exactly said. But the U.S. government repairs the holes in the wall. They have to fix the wall as it gets damaged. And the cartels are blowtorching the wall. And this is just, you can see the equipment that's just laying there rusting now.
Devastating.
And more equipment. That's us. You could tell who the Arizona cops and who are the Pennsylvania cops. The ones with the hats and the boots are Arizona. And the ones with, OC sneakers and jeans, they're the BA cops.
They're the BA cops.
They're the
right.
BA cops.
Right. Yeah, there you go.
But this is the metal just sitting there close-ups. I think it's just important. Light stanchions that were supposed to light up the wall at night,
right?
Never finished. Their electrical lines are all all put in there,
sad.
And it was never finished, and it's just all there rusting. This was also amazing equipment that's just left behind, almost like invading a country and the U.S. military leaving your equipment behind. This is what we've done.
Familiar.
The equipment, yeah. I mean, I
Very
get
true.
that to some degree, but this is just no one's using it. It's just equipment left behind. Amazing. Again, just you could see where the wall is repaired. I just think it's just amazing. This is part of the wall where somebody climbs over and clothes got caught up. We don't really have a lot of time. I just want to show you. These
are fascinating.
This
pictures.
is U.S. So this is where they have to travel through. If you get across the border and someone's not picking you up by vehicle there, you've got miles and miles to make it through the wilderness to get to a main road. We drove probably about 40 minutes from their headquarters, about 35 minutes, just to get to the wall in vehicles. So I can't imagine, doing that after being smart. And they're not coming over with a ton of rations. I almost cursed by accident.
That's okay.
These things they wear on their feet, these are the weirdest little shoes, so they don't leave tracks.
Oh.
For U.S. law enforcement to follow.
The planning.
It is. And let me just, we'll finish it up, Bree, in a minute. I just want to.
Great picture.
This is stuff captured on. So here's a human being, a cartel member, or somebody paid by the cartel smuggling drugs. He's all camouflaged up, looking like a tree. Because they have hundreds and hundreds of cameras that Cochise County paid for, designed, and put. This is not done by the federal government. Here they are on the ground, walking like animals, so that the camera wouldn't pick them up.
Amazing.
So it would be like a coyote or something. I don't know if this. I just think coyotes are in the desert, but I don't really know if it's a coyote.
I think you're right.
Nobody quote me on the coyote thing.
Sure.
Some of the drugs that they've captured, that they've confiscated, and I think this is the one I was looking. You could see a caravan of people. This is not the give-ups. These are drug smugglers coming across in Cochise County. Whew. This is not YouTube stuff, folks. This is I got from them. This is from their cameras itself. And then I'm not going to show them because there's some deceased folks on it that I don't want to really show, but of them smuggling people in cars. The cars get into accidents. Some people die. Cars are on fire. And then men and women in Cochise County, the deputies are running into these cars, risking their lives to save people that are coming into this country illegally. But you know what? They know they're human beings. It doesn't matter.
The humanity of it.
Who knows whether they're drug smugglers or just somebody looking for the American way of life.
Yes.
They're human beings, and they don't deserve to die. And these cops, these deputies in Cochise County, these American heroes, as I've been calling them publicly, are risking their lives. And they ain't making a ton of money, these cops.
Jeez.
They're not making a ton of money.
Yeah.
And I think they really are. Yeah, I don't.
Money's not the motivation.
No, money's not the motivation. Again, this is very quick. This presentation, I just showed you a handful of slides, but it is unbelievable. So, where are we on time? You think we got like 9 minutes left? Bree's multitasking today.
Oh, she always does.
Camera woman, engineer.
5
minutes.
Okay.
So I had a guy yesterday.
Yeah, a little overview.
In the presentation, and listen, you guys have all done public presentations. You could tell in a minute who's gonna try to take you down the wrong lane or has some
sincerity in it, right?
well that has a different view.
It has an agenda.
And that's okay. I don't know
You're right,
if he's
John.
got an agenda. I don't know, but it's okay. I don't listen. It's what I've been told. It's what I'm reporting. It's what I'm reporting back to the people of Bucks County. It's what I've been asked to do. It's what I believe you should do as the sheriff of Bucks County. My responsibility lies to the people. So he brings up a good point, and I said it is a good point. Well, what can we do? You know, where you said during my presentation last night, 1 out of 2 people in there have drugs somewhere close in the family. That's the statistics right now. We're not winning the war on drugs. Could we? I think we could do a better job for sure.
Sure.
Win it? I don't know, but we could do better than we're doing.
That's an accurate answer. It is.
So he says, well, if 1 in half are not on drugs or family members aren't on drugs or don't have drug addiction suffering from that illness because it is an illness, why can't we do stuff to emulate what that half is doing?
Mm-hmm.
I said, that's a great point. I said, it's a little bigger than that. I said, because people go to drugs for a whole host of reasons. They go to drugs because they get addicted by accident. They go to drugs because they're suffering from severe mental health issues, and they self-medicate. And the mental health system, that's another whole topic.
Oh, my God.
The mental health system in this country is broken. FUBAR. Broken beyond broken.
Yes.
And we need to repair it immediately. It's a drastic emergency. It's a danger to the threat. It's a threat to the United States.
At all levels, too.
At all levels.
Yes.
And we're not doing nearly what we should be to address mental health. But those that are suffering, a lot of them resort to self-medication.
Mm-hmm.
But you got to start somewhere, I said to him. And that one picture that we showed where the wall was stopped in change of administration, we need to start by tightening it up, continue that wall.
Mm-hmm.
We need to secure our border. Yes, I remember I was in college during the great movie, the great TV show with Don Johnson and Ricardo, I forget his name. Miami Vice.
Yeah.
And all right, I'm going to omit something right now. I owned one of those white jackets that Don Johnson wore. I had to have it. I'm sorry.
Do you still have it, Fred? Probably do.
I will never tell.
Oh, no, that's right.
I
That's a
will never
secret.
tell. If I have it, it ain't fitting, though.
It's not fitting anymore. Well, we only got a couple minutes left. But
So we need to secure these borders.
Yes.
That's the start. Is it the answer? No, because criminals, as we all know, how many times have we been asked, and we're in a car dealership, so maybe it's a good ending. If people would ask me, how do I prevent my car from being stolen? Park under a light, get an alarm, buy a club, put a sticker on your car.
All those things.
Blah, 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 blah. Will that prevent my car from being stolen? No, not if they want your car.
Right.
Not if they say, I want that Toyota. I'm getting it.
Right, but don't make it easy.
They'll find a way. But don't make it easy.
Right, don't
Thanks,
make it easy
Tom.
for them, yeah.
Don't make it easy.
Yeah.
We got to build it high,
Right.
secure this country. That's our first step. Because you saw the numbers, you heard the numbers. 67% of those people coming in are not coming in for the better way of life, from Mexican nationals. They're coming in, who knows why. I don't know why. Make your own conclusions. Let's secure this country. Let's start there. Let's put more money into the U.S. Coast Guard back if they're going to be coming back in through Miami.
That's true.
And Bahamas and those countries. We'll go back to the old way.
Well,
we did such a good job back then
Yes.
with cocaine.
We did.
That cocaine did not become the drug of choice anymore.
No.
We can go back to that.
Yes.
I have no doubt that our United States Coast Guard is going to do an amazing job if we get back to that type of drug fighting.
As they
But right
have.
now, they're coming in through our border. We're making it easy for them,
Yeah, we
folks.
are.
Let's start there, and then let's reconvene and see how we're doing.
Thanks, Freddie. You're listening to Words of Wisdom from our Bucks County Sheriff, Fred Harran,
about
as
that.
you always do. I do. He's too humble, gentlemen.
What do
Ladies
you
and gentlemen.
What do you really think?
Yeah, what do you really think?
Well, my wife always says my wife, and I tried getting her on the show. She started a new job, so
I think we should bring her in.
I would love to bring her on. I got to talk to her boss to get her on.
Absolutely. That's great stuff.
But she always says no one loves Fred like Fred.
That, like
So I'm just kidding here. I really do love myself.
No, I know you do. We love you too, Fred. Well, that's a wrap for today's show, Behind the Badge. It's always entertaining, but most importantly, very informational. And if you didn't get something out of this show today, something's wrong with you. Look in the mirror, pinch yourself, do something, and say, you want to spread this, disseminate it so more people are aware of the dilemma that's going on in this country, in your country. that's pretty much everything. As I say at the end of all my shows, Fred, as you know, I want to thank everyone for being here. John, thanks for coming in and listening to our show. And Bree, fantastic job as always.
Great job today.
As always.
Double the
Jerry, I'll be coming home to walk the dog pretty soon to make sure that everything's fine at home. Homeostasis, they call it, right? But at any rate, thanks for joining us today. We'll have many more shows ahead. Part 2's coming up with the border. I know we have a lot more to share with Fred. Be safe, stay well, don't text while you drive, and most importantly, God bless America.